What's going on, you guys? Scott here, and super excited about this new stove that I just got in the mail. I had a knock at the door and immediately had to come set stuff up because I want to get the stove parts out and take a look at it. Before I do that, this is from a company called Changemoore. Changemoore is on Amazon, and I found a stainless steel stove that is less than 5 pounds. So backpacking stove, less than 5 pounds, but not titanium. This thing is stainless steel. It's also very affordable because we're looking at somewhere around $260 for stove plus the stovepipe. So great deal price-wise, doesn't weigh that much. It's got a flat top cooking surface. Let's break it out. Let me move the camera, and I'm going to open this thing up so we can take a look at the parts. So we have the bag here ready to open. Oops, not that way. Needs to go this way. And look how nice that is. Packed in there well. We've got stove body, it looks like, stove piping, some safety gloves, a manual. There's a pocket here. Looks like the stovepipe rings, all the hardware needed, and then the rigid, gosh, I can't remember what that might be. Man, my mind is not working, guys. I apologize. But we got that circular piece there to hold the pipe in the right shape, keep it in form. Let's see here. And guys, I'm not using gloves right now, but as soon as I start actually rolling the metal up and putting it together for the first time, I will. Ah, look at that. We've got the stovepipe, it looks like. And I thought that might be titanium on the pipe, but I guess they did stainless for this as well. That'll be interesting to see how it rolls the first time. Stove body, damper, if I can get it, let's see here. All right, that is the stove top and the front side and the back side. Interesting. Well, very cool. I'm excited to look at this and now start putting it together. So I'm going to play with the parts and pieces and see how it comes together. Well, I said I was going to play around with this a little bit, and I did more than that. I actually went out for 3 days in the mountains, snowy, cold weather, used the Changemoore stove, and it worked really, really well. I'm going to first show you a few clips from that trip, and then we're going to come back, put the stove together, put the pipe together, and really kind of go through the functionality of the stove. How cool was that, right? This stove has just been awesome. I'm so excited to have this and use it as much as possible. Now, I am going to put the thing together real quick. Let's do that. Let's assemble it. If I can unzip the pack. Well, actually, before I do that, take a look at the bag, guys. The carry case, the bag that comes with it, super handy. I've used this now in and out a few times, and it's held up just fine. There's no wear and tear. And, you know, I've had a few that as soon as I get a piece of gear and I try to cram it back in the first time, it just destroys the case or destroys the bag. Not this. So let me open this up. What I want to point out here, guys, safety gloves first, right? Safety first. The first time I opened this thing up, guys, it was super clean. All the metal was pristine and perfect. I've used this thing for a few nights now, actually a couple nights, 2 nights, and it was very cold. So I burned this stove super hot, and this is what it'll look like. The metal gets a little discolored, and this is what the stove looks like after it's been used. But the important point is it works great. Nothing has fallen apart here, and so far it's been a great experience. So let's put it together. The first thing I'm going to do, guys, is the stove body, and everything here nests together. So in the back, we got the rear panel of the stove. I'll put it over here for now. In the front, we've got the front panel of the stove. 2 legs. And then the stove top. All right, so next is going to be the stove body. And here, guys, we have, if you can see, the roll of the stove body. Inside it, on one side, is the damper, right here. And guys, before I go any further, I'm going to put my gloves on. Anytime you use this sheet metal or this little foil, you want to be super, super careful. I probably should have worn them with these, but that's not quite the same. But now we're going to get it out. So the damper, guys, is right here. The damper comes with a spark arrestor built in, and it's super handy because it's at the bottom of the pipe. These can go at the bottom or the top. You want them at the bottom. That way the fire keeps it hot and it burns off as much of the creosote as possible. There's the damper. On the other side, we're going to have the pipe, the actual stove pipe. So let me show you what this looks like. So inside is the stovepipe nested, and we'll put that together in a minute. And then right here, guys, is the stove body. So we've got the body of the stove. Let me grab the hardware needed. So what we're going to need out of the bag here is this long bolt that goes on the bottom and holds the legs together. And then inside this pocket, if you remember the pocket up here, we're going to need 2 of the wing nuts. Two wing nuts with the bolt on them. And then 1 wing nut without the bolt for that long one. All right, or that long rod, I mean. All right, let me put the case away. And we're going to put this stove together. All right, guys, so now we have the stove body here. What we're going to want to do is take the back end of this and start working it work the metal in between the 2 layers. What I mean is there's 2, let's see here, there's 2 little metal layers. The inside has holes in it. Those need to be inside the stove. The solid metal piece goes on the outside of the stove. Once you get a little bit in, you can just work it around. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to turn it and do the same thing for the front of the stove. What I find works best, guys, is to start right at the very bottom, at the apex of that turn, or that curve, I mean, and then just work it in. Whoop. There we go. All right, there it is. I was talking so much and making it seem so easy. Now that we've got the stove body together, stove body complete, we're going to take the top of the stove, make sure that the hole here for the stovepipe goes towards the back, not the front of the stove. And then we're going to just feed it in the same way we did the front and the back. Make sure the inside stays on the inside layer and the outside is where it is supposed to be. Okay. So the stove body's together. The top's on. Now we're going to take the wing nuts and get these in here. There's 1 for each side. Whoa. Okay, so we got the front secured and the back secured. What we need to do now is put the legs on. So I'm turning it over, and I'm grabbing this long rod to feed through the first leg. And that runs along the bottom of the stove and connects to the other leg. You have to bend it a little bit there sometimes, just a hair. There we go. Perfect. Now I'm going to get this little wing nut on. Turn the key back here and we'll be good to go. Excuse me, nose itchy. Check that out. Very cool. Awesome little stove. Another thing I'm going to point out here, guys, these little metal rings, these wire metal rings, make operating the stove super easy. When you open the stove, by the way, guys, it stays open. It'll stay open. It doesn't swing shut on its own, which is nice. I have other stoves that they always are swinging open, so you have to hold them. But when you're done, you can close this with this little hook. Sorry, not hook. With this little circle of wire rope. You just latch it right back, and it's a simple latch. It works so easy. This whole stove can be super, super hot. You can, with your hands, no gloves, open it right up, put wood in, close it. Same with this down here, guys. The air control, the air in, the air out, has one of these little wire loops, and you can use it barehanded. It works really well. So, what do we have left? Well, the damper. I already talked about this a little bit, but the damper has your spark arrestor built in. And what a damper is, you guys, if you don't know, it opens and closes to control airflow. You have two controls of air, how much is coming in the front and how much is going out the back. My suggestion with these is to run it full open until you get a feel for the stove and then start dampering it. When you damper it, you're going to hold heat into the stove, right? It can help when you're cooking. If you're trying to get a long burn at night, that might be an option. However, when you damper it, you're going to get more soot buildup and creosote and ash and all of that in here, which can eventually be a danger. So always make sure to clean these things out once a day or so if you're running the stove consistently. But this just snaps in the top. Good to go. It's ready. Now the stovepipe's going to fit right on here. So before I jump over to the stovepipe, guys, I do want to talk just use of it. Like I say, the door is huge. You can fit big pieces of wood in once you get a bed of coals. Easy to operate. And the burn time I found on this, the question I get more often than anything, how much burn time do you get on a stove? Well, the burn time on this stove is probably about 2 hours for me. That's what I could get. Once I had a nice healthy bed of coals, if I loaded it up with wood, I'd get about 2 hours of burn time before it was just back to coals. All right, now I maybe can tweak it and start maybe messing with choking the air a little bit to get some more time, but that's what I found on my first trip. I used it for 2 nights. It worked well. Cooking on this, guys, is super easy. The top of this is so much easier than a cylinder stove to cook on. I was boiling water. The website says 12 minutes. I was boiling water faster than 12 minutes, way faster than 12 minutes, and cooked several different meals on here easily. And again, guys, really enjoy just the portability of this thing at 4.95 or 4.9 pounds, but also the use you get with it at stainless steel. So, body of the stove is together. Let's get to stovepipe. And this is one of those things that everyone has questions on. Now, when I first opened this, you saw that the stovepipe was all clean and nice and pristine. It no longer is that because it's had smoke going through it. It's a stovepipe. When you first are going to roll this thing up, it doesn't want to go into shape. So that first roll is a little different than every other roll there on out. Once you burn this thing one time and get it all hot, this metal wants to go back into shape. So from here on out, let me show you what it's going to be like, and then we'll jump into that first roll. But here's what it looks like. And then once you have it rolled out like that, guys, what you're going to want to do is grab these rings. And now the rings, the hardware that come with this, where is it? The hardware that comes with the pipe are 5 steel rings that are going to hold it in shape, and then a 6th larger steel ring. This goes at the end of the pipe, right down here. When you put the pipe on the damper, that goes over and kind of locks everything in place. All right? So we're going to take this hardware. Now that that pipe's rolled out, what you're going to do is start putting those rings around the pipe. All right? And you're going to work them down the pipe. You have 5 total to evenly space throughout that pipe. And the pipe, I think, is a 7-foot stovepipe. Now that 6th one, like we just talked about, needs to go on the end as well to lock the pipe in place. But once you've done that, this is what you have. You have a ready-to-go stovepipe to put in the tent. All right? Now, breaking this thing down once it's been burned in is simple as well. So you lay the pipe out, take those rings off, which is not hard at all, and then it just rolls right up. Take a look here, guys. It's just rolling right up, and then you just easily roll this thing into a tight little tube that will then slip back inside the stove body inside the case. Super easy, right? Yeah, absolutely. And one person can do it, no problem. All right, now, going back to the first roll. The first time you roll, it's a bit of a challenge, and it does take 2 people to lay it out. And I don't have anyone here with me to do that, but the way it works is you would lay it out, and you just roll it like paper, like you're rolling up some paper or a newspaper, if you're old enough to remember newspapers. But you roll it up and take these bands and just slide them down. You get all 5 of those evenly spaced. That way you can burn it in, and from here on out never have to worry about that initial pipe roll in. But don't be intimidated by it. It's not hard. You just need a little help, a little assistance, and you'll be good to go. That being said, overall impressions for this stove for me is above expectations, right? Stainless steel. I haven't had a backpacking stove that was stainless. Most of them are about 15 pounds. And I just can't carry 15 pounds around reasonably, right? So this offered me a chance to use stainless in the backcountry like I like to at an affordable price, right? I price-wise can't beat it. It comes with the pipe, and this is a rolled-up pipe. This isn't some sectional thing that you've got to, lug around as well. This is all very convenient. So for me, guys, impressions are really, really good. I shouldn't do that, I guess. Hold on. But overall, guys, I'm just super happy with the stove. I am very excited at how overall, guys, just super, super excited. Oh, wow. All right. So, really loving the stove, guys. Price makes a lot of sense. Weight, 4.9 pounds for stainless steel is awesome. And just ease of use couldn't be better. For me, it was simple, and fun to use. So, Changemoore stainless steel stove, guys. Really, I recommend taking a look at it. I'll have a link below for sure. Guys, I appreciate you watching the video. Stay safe. Bye.